All right, Panther fans. So, what do we got? It's Saturday, the 17th. We are closing in on preseason games, and I know you guys are ready. I'm ready to talk about what is happening and what the team has done and how they've played instead of conjecture about what we think is going to happen. But on that note, I haven't made one of these in a while where I just sat down and went over some things and gave my thoughts. And there's been a lot of things collecting in the back of my head in terms of what I've said about how I think and feel, and how my gut is telling me what's going to happen, and what I see out there in the Twitter universe, or in the Panthers universe, I should say, in terms of what other people think about the changes that we made during the season, during the summer. Now, I find myself in a peculiar situation because if you've been a fan of this channel, most of the time I'm the guy who's been trying to tell people it's not as good as you might think. I'm not so sure that's going to work out. What about this guy? What about that guy? What I'm telling you is if you've watched this channel long enough, you know I have a knack for calling things, or I have a knack for saying, I wish Barkov would get off his ass and 30 seconds later he'll score a goal or something like that. You guys have seen that enough. So a lot of times my opinions may not always be just full on backed up by all the hockey analytics and statistics that you can find. It's not how I view the game. It's not how I produce content. I use statistics. I use base statistics to give myself a gut feeling, which I'm going to do some of that here in this video. But for the most part, I'm telling you what I'm getting, what I got. So it's a few things going on and going around. Some in response to some of the articles and videos, which I appreciate that, and some of the things I've seen other creators have mentioned. So I kind of want to touch on it, give you my thoughts. Now, the first thing I'm going to start with the defense because it's easier. It's less there's less chess pieces to move around with the defense. Now, of course, I'll preface everything I'm going to say with I don't pretend to know what's going to happen in terms of being told by anybody. Okay? I don't have anybody whispering in my ear. I don't have any inside connections. I have none of that. And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you, which that's not I'm not criticizing anybody who does, but for me personally, if I say it, it's what I think. I guess that's my point, is that I'm not somebody who's going to pass on secondhand or third hand information. If I don't say it unless I think it's viable from my perspective. So the defense. No, we've all seen all the Leaf fans and the Calgary fans, and mainly the Canadian team fans, talking about how trash the Panthers defense is. Now, I'm going to debate that here a little bit. We might be here a little while because before I speak on some of these things, I want to make sure I've collected my thoughts. I don't want to just go on a rant and a rampage. This isn't a recap. Now, the overwhelming majority of people feel pretty damn comfortable with Gustav Forsling stepping in for Mackenzie Weegar. We know the pros and cons with Weegar. This is not about him. I'm not here to get on his case whatsoever. But for the most part, most people feel like different player, but that Forsling will be a viable top line guy, and we're going to be pretty good there. The conundrum, the question, things I'm seeing out there are, well, I saw somebody put out the opinion, and I don't necessarily no fault in this opinion. I saw them say that it's not that we haven't replaced Uyghur, it's that we haven't replaced Forsling. I could see that, but I'm going to give you my take. I've said this before in terms of what I think would happen if I was in charge. Now, obviously, by the time I'm done with this video, the Panthers could have made a trade, made a move, and blow my ideas all up, and that's fine. It's part of the reason why I only tell you that's part of the reason why I say what I'm telling you is only what I think, what I feel is going to happen, because you never know. Now, I'm going to start sharing some statistics here, just very lightly, but let's see. This is Gustav Forsling, 6 foot, buck 86. He played in parts of 3 seasons before he got here to Florida. And basically, upon coming here on the waiver wire, when we were all like, who, what? I don't know, some guy we got off of waivers from the Blackhawks. Okay. We didn't know nothing about him. We watched him. Thought, hey, I like this guy. Smooth skater. Looks like he's got a little bit of offensive potential. And generally is in the right position. You don't hear a lot of, damn it, Forsling, why did you do that? Right? I mean, every defenseman gets beat, but in general, he makes smart decisions with the puck and he's in the right position. In his third season, he played 43 games, had 3 goals and 6 assists in his third season. He's 26, so that would have been about when he was 23 years old. Now, I'm going to bring you to Lucas Carlson. And this is the guy that I feel has every possible potential to fill Forsling's shoes. 6'0", 189. Basically the same exact size. He's 25. Last year would have been his third season. And the interesting thing is he played in 40 games, had 3 goals and 6 assists, exactly what Forsling had in his third season. I'm going to go back to some other statistics, but for now, I'll stop to share. How many times in those 40 games last year do you remember saying, damn it, Carlson, what are you doing there? Again, all defensemen get beat, but for the most part, he's a smooth skater. He's got some offensive upside, and he's generally in the right position when you need him, like he was against the Canes when he made those 2 ridiculous saves, when basically it was him in the net next to Bobrovsky. Another thing I'd like to remind you of, let's see, where are we? I blew that. Let me see. Here we go. I'm looking for it. There you go. My apologies. Who remembers that? That wasn't that long ago. Now, granted, yes, that deal was more about getting rid of Brett Connolly's contract. Yes, I'm fully aware of that. But, I mean, that's Connolly, Stillman, Borgstrom, who was a first-round pick, and for some odd reason, a 7th-round pick. Lucas Wallmark and Lucas Carlson, which means this wasn't just specifically somebody who just oops fell on the waiver wire. Zito had an interest. And I can see why. Now, I'm going to say this multiple times in this video to kind of make my point. We either trust Zito or we don't. Lucas Carlson is the exact same size, basically the exact same age, with a very similar skill set, maybe not as high of a ceiling. But if Forsling can develop into a top line defenseman, Lucas Carlson can certainly develop into a second pair defenseman. He has practically the same skill set. Not quite as good as Forsling, but Forsling had also played a few more games, significantly more games in his first few seasons than Carlson did. So I've said it before, I say it again. I am entirely for and in favor of and hopeful that he gets a spot to see how he can play on that second pair. Because that was the first thing Zito did this offseason was make sure he re-signed Lucas Carlson. It's a 2-year deal. I believe this year is 2-way and next year is 1-way. That's from memory. So if I'm wrong, you can correct. That's the first thing he did was make sure that that kid was here. Now, some of you might use conjecture and say, yeah, we wanted to have him sign because maybe he's an asset that we could trade. And again, you don't know what's going to happen, as we saw with Tkachuk. You never know who's going to come up available. But if we start the season with Carlson on that second pairing, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. We've seen enough of him to know he's not going to go out there and make a fool of himself. He's not going to go out there and look so out of the part that, holy crap, we have to make some kind of adjustment. He might not be outstanding the first half of the season, but beggars can't be choosers. And we're in a position where we're going to have to develop young players because we just cannot continue the constant cycle of trading away assets to get already established guys. We've kind of run out of ammunition to really make any significant moves, and we don't have any cap space to do it anyway. I've been saying this since last year. How many times did I tell you? That's why we gave Owen Tippett so many opportunities, because we need good young players to come in and fill some of these gaps. You can't pay your goaltender $10 million, and I'm not knocking Bob there, but if your goaltender's making 10, you're going to pay for that somewhere else. You have to have younger players. Zito went out and purposefully asked for the kid, purposefully made him the first signing this offseason. So the point being that for anybody saying we didn't replace Forsling, while I can completely understand that position, my belief is that Carlson can replace Forsling. Some of you will agree. Some of you will call me crazy. That's fine. I'm telling you what my take is. The other part is Mark Stahl. Now, Mark Stahl, what's 34, 35 years old? Everybody's just making fun of him because he's the specific age. But go look at his, in fact, I've got it. So let me get to it. I'm telling you to go look at it. Where is it? Did I pull him up? Yeah, I did. You don't need to look at it. Here we go. Let's just go by the last 5 years. His time on ice, 18 minutes, 19 minutes, 17, 18, 17. He's not done. Everything that I've seen from anybody who watched him play last year feels that he's still got gas in the tank. So I think we're set there at a bottom pair, or at least one of the bottom pairs. Everybody can go round and round about who they think should be on that second pair. I still feel it should be Montour with Carlson. I like Montour's game, and I feel that Montour could be more offensive with Carlson as a partner because Carlson is solid. He's going to stay in position, which I believe that will play right into the style that Paul Maurice is going to play. And that's the last thing I'll say about the defense is don't forget we have a new coach. We cannot assume that we are plugging these players into the roles that we've watched play out over the last couple of years. This is not specifically about getting a guy to do exactly what Forsling did or exactly what Uyghur did. This system's going to be different. And from everything that I've heard about Maurice, it's it's a system where you're using your head more. Be in the right position. Know what to do with the puck when you get it. Being able to anticipate what the other team is going to do with the puck. Making sure that the forwards come back and play some defense and back check. So we cannot take the players that we have and apply this group to the style that they've played the last couple of years when it was Q and Brunette because they're gone and it's going to be different. And from what I've seen and heard about Maurice and how he's going to coach and the system and the style he's going to want to play with the players that we have, would I like to obviously upgrade the 7 and 8D position? Sure. If somebody magically became available and we could make a move and it fit, okay, fine. But on the flip side of that, some people are being very fatalistic, not so much with the Panther fans, but other fans of other teams about how on paper these guys look. Well, we're not going to have the same structure, the same style that we played last year. And I'm fine with that because it got blown out of the second round. Yay, we won a round. I'm happy. But we didn't even win another game. And it wasn't the defense's fault, right? I mean, yeah, Uyghur screwed up. Uyghur and Forsling together, whatever you want to say about that with 3.8 seconds left. It was a screw up. We scored 3 goals in 4 games. There's one place where it belongs, where the blame for that belongs. And that's with the offense. So let's talk about the offense. This is where it gets a little bit dicier because, like anything in life, you could paint two very different pictures of it. You could, oh, we lost Marchman and we lost the Chari and Duclair is gone and we lost all these guys. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to look at it on a 1-by-1 basis. Okay. Production wise, just take Huberto and Tkachuk and call it even. Different players. Tkachuk probably get more goals, less assists, obviously. But I think in the end, when you think about production on the ice, I think a fair assessment before we see anybody play is that it's going to be even. It might not quite be even with what Huberto, how he played last year, but last year he was far superior to any other year he had had. Could he have been playing for a contract? I don't know. He got the contract. That's all I'm going to say about that. So production-wise, Tkachuk for Huberto. Okay. Duclair obviously, clearly is a loss. He's going to come back. We don't know how he's going to come back because his game is speed. It's an Achilles injury. So there's a genuine question there. People saying we lost Achari. Achari barely played last year. And Nick Cousins can fill that role. All right. He's 1 year younger. He plays the same gritty style. You guys are going to love him. I know we love the Chari. His body took a lot of abuse and it wore out on him. Okay. That space will be filled by Nick Cousins. I'm confident there. The loss, there's one loss that I'm looking at in terms of the offense that's a permanent loss, and that's Marchman. The dude was a monster, 6'4", 209, something like that. That we did not replace. No debate about that. We got Balsers, we got White, and we got Tierney. Now, Tierney's not on the roster right now because we don't have the money. The assumption is Zito's going to make some kind of a move. He's going to have to do something. So that's why I said at the beginning of the video, by the time I'm done, Zito could have made a trade that blows up my whole theory. Wouldn't be the first time. Marchman is the bigger loss. Now, I will still say what I've said before. In my opinion, line by line, we have 4 elite pairs. Barkov with Verhaeghe is an elite pair. Bennett with Kachuk is an elite pair. Lundell with Reinhardt for a third line in the NHL is an elite pair. And then when you get to the fourth line, take your pick. Okay? Cousins with Lombard. You want to throw Luosterainen out there? Take your pick. We've got solid fourth line players, especially if we can keep Patrick Hornquist. So we have, in my opinion, if you just want to stick with the top 9, elite pairs at center with one wing. And we've got some spaces to fill. Duclair is going to take one of those spaces when he comes back. So now we have 2. This is where it gets into, do you trust Zito or do you not trust Zito? So let's get back to the sharing of the screen. I'm going to show you a few things with the new guys. All right, let's see. That's Mark Stahl's time on ice. Come on, get that out. Okay, let's go to. I want to preface this. This is good. This is actually Sam Bennett. Why I'm bringing up Sam Bennett is because a lot of people are looking at the history of some of the guys that we've acquired and thinking, okay, Sam Bennett was first round pick, okay, 4th overall. All right. And when we got him and paid 2 2s, myself included, some of us were like, 2 2s? Okay. He had yet to score 20 goals. You can look at that. And in the seasons leading up to us getting him, 8 in 52 games. And then at the point that we made the trade, he had 4 goals in 38 games, which is basically the same pace that he had been on the year before. So basically, he had been a guy that's going to get you, maybe 15 goals. Now, out of a first round pick, that's on the low end of what you're expecting. When you draft a guy, and it's certainly 4th overall, you're expecting more. Comes into Florida and last season, 28 and 21, his first full season with the Panthers. Okay. Now, I want to go to Colin White. I think I've got him over here. Yeah. Colin White. 6'1", 194. Practically the same size as Bennett. Some people have been saying we don't have the size. For anybody who's questioning the size of the Panthers team, go look at the Colorado Avalanche's roster. They've got a couple of big guys, but a lot of their team is 6 foot, 5'11". They're not and Cale Makar is 5'11", 187 pounds. Size in the NHL is not what it used to be. Colin White, first round pick, 21st overall, so obviously not the same level that you would expect to Sam Bennett. I'm not comparing the two as players. I'm comparing the history that they've had. Okay? You can see it right there. What's that? 6 seasons. Highest point total was 41 when he had 14 goals and 27 assists. Then you get to 7 goals, 10 goals. And then last year, he only played 24 games and basically was on the same pace as he had been in the past. Now, in my season preview for the Panthers, when I made the lines, I made the lines with the assumption that we did not keep Patrick Hornquist. I wanted to make them from that position because I wanted to make things harder on me to actually fill out the roster. Okay, because if you keep Hornquist, the numbers, it gets a lot easier. It gets a lot easier. Excuse me. So I made the video from the point of view that we're getting rid of Patrick Hornquist, which I hope does not happen. I made the case to give Colin White the opportunity on that top line. There's 2 reasons for that. Number one, he was a first-round pick. Somewhere in there is talent. Okay. It may not have panned out all that great for him just yet. But just like with Sam Bennett, somewhere in there, enough people thought enough about him to draft him in the first round. And the second thing is, if it doesn't work out, we've got Duclair coming back. So we're not hinging the entire franchise. We didn't go out and get this guy and go, okay, Barkov, here you go. Here's the answer. I would like to see him get an opportunity up there because somebody's got to play up there. And I would prefer to not have a top-heavy 2 lines and then a bunch of question marks. Me personally, I would rather use those elite pairs that I've said we have and then find the right matches at winger for them. Now, again, that was if we lost Hornquist. If we keep Hornquist, maybe he should still get a spot. Okay. I mean, he's going to be in the top 9. My assumption is he's going to be in the top 9. I could be totally off there. But the point there I'm making is that a lot of the things that I'm hearing people be unsure about with White, we all could have kind of said about Sam Bennett. It's like, what's he done? What's he done? Yeah, he was a first-round pick. What's he done? Well, you saw what happened when he got put next to elite talent. Maybe it could happen for White. Maybe he doesn't have as much success, but if you put a solid defensive forward who's going to get you 20 goals up there with Barkov and Verhaeghe until Duclair comes back, I think it's good because now you've got a guy that you've developed that you have confidence if somebody else gets injured in the playoffs. You know you've got a guy that, okay, he's not going to hurt you. And when I heard Maurice's press conference, he talked about the biggest thing he wanted to make sure that this team was doing was making the right decision when they didn't have the puck. And I agree with that. I agree with that. So again, it's not going to be the same run and gun system. We need to stop trying to take the new players and mentally plugging them into the system we had the last 2 years. That's not the brand of hockey we're going to be playing. We have stellar goaltending, regardless of who's in there. Okay. We have Barkov, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Reinhart, Duclair when he comes back. That's at least 5 guys off the top of my head that are fully capable of 25 to 35 or more goals. We have guys that are going to score, and don't leave out Lundell, who's probably going to, who was on pace for 23, 25 goals before he got hurt as a rookie. We've got those guys. What this team needed was role players that could fill in the rest of the gaps, be smart defensively, don't make any stupid mistakes, and have just enough offensive scoring ability to not be a liability in a top 9 role. I believe Colin White is one of those guys. I'm going to move on to the next guy that I think. Where is he? Let's see. All right. Sorry about how slow I'm moving, guys, but I want to make sure I get this how I want it to be. I don't want to end the video with a bunch of stuff I forgot like I always do. Rudolph Balcers. Now, again, I am aware that he comes with injury concerns. On one hand, I could say so did Duclair. On the other hand, I could say, well, Duclair's been hurt and is hurt. Rudolph Balcers, not the biggest guy, 5'11", a buck 82. So don't worry, I'm not getting ready to say that he's going to replace Mason Marchment. Not. His history here is not a ton. What's that? 153 games, 57 points. His best season was last year with San Jose. 11 goals, 12 assists. Nothing spectacular. Nothing spectacular stands out there. Now, I watched highlights of the kid, and granted, they're highlights, right? You don't see highlight reels with their worst plays. You see them with their best plays. One thing that stood out with me with him was hand-eye coordination. Definitely an effort guy. Okay, he's not gonna, he's not like a Lomberg effort guy. He's not like gonna get into people's faces and be a tough guy and all of that. But from what I saw and what I've heard, if he can stay healthy, he's an adequate bottom six type of player. Now, in my season preview, I think from memory, I believe I put him on the third line. Not quite sure if I remember that. I'm sold on Cousins and I'm sold on White. Balcers is a question mark. Not really sure. Haven't seen enough. He hasn't played a whole lot. San Jose bought him out. So there may be an issue there with them feeling like he can't stay healthy. That's always possible. This is where the guys like Dianasenko, Heponiemi, Levchi. I can't pronounce the guy's name. I try all the time. I'm just gonna call him Levchi, and if that's close enough, it's close enough. That is where guys, somebody from the minors, somebody is gonna have to come up and make this team. My opinion. Or Balcers is going to have to take that spot. So I guess what I'm saying is that when I look at it in totality, and I think about this guy we lost, and who's his replacement, and this guy we lost, and how can we replace him? When I look at it all, I see one hole that was genuinely created and not filled, and that's Mason Marchment. There's no arguing that. There's no arguing that. We did not go out and get anybody. He's 6'4", 209. He's a beast. We're going to miss Mason Marchment. Especially, I would have loved to have seen him in the style of play I believe we're going to play now. That was a disappointment to lose him. And we did not replace him. So that spot, if it lays out the way I've said, that spot next to Lundell and Reinhardt, it's a big question mark. Now, Stu has had a little bit of a different theory. He was kind of talking about maybe having a top-heavy six and then just take all three new guys, put them on the third line, like Cousins with White and Balcers. interesting enough, they have played together at times before. I have to see more of this kid Balsers before I make that call. Now, one other guy we have, who again is on a minor league contract, but because we don't have room to bring him up, is Chris Tierney from the Senators. And without sharing, well, no, let me bring that up. Let me share this. This is Tierney. And what do we got? He's 6'1", 191. So he's bigger than Balsers. He's not the size of Marchment, though. Okay. He's a center. He shoots left. So again, that's somebody who could take that spot on the left there. And decent numbers. Nothing spectacular stands out all at you. He's decent in the face-off circle. All right. He seems to have been relatively healthy. He missed 12 games last year. He misses some time, but nothing extraordinary. Best season was 48 points the first year in Ottawa with 9 goals and 39 assists, but he has scored more than 10 goals 3 times, including 17 goals a few years ago. Now that, again, is a guy who's somehow we have to make room to get to the active NHL roster, which is why I've consistently thought that somehow Patrick Hornqvist is going to be dished off. But the more I think about it, the more I wonder if we are going to wait until the deadline to do anything with that. And hear me out why I'm thinking that. We do have some question marks. How's White going to fit in? Can Balser stay healthy? Is he going to fit in? Etc. Now, we cannot bring back Duclair unless somebody goes. We're $375,000 over the cap after we put Duclair's $3 million on LTIR. If White works out and Zito feels comfortable leaving Duclair on LTIR the whole season, that's a bonus. If whoever White falls, or if it doesn't work out and Duclair is ready, the only way to bring him back is to make some kind of a move. And there's only so many guys on the team that are movable, that are making enough money to make room for him. So part of me starts to wonder if maybe there might be a deal made around the deadline to see what we need. Did Lucas Carlson really replace Gustav Forsling? Is Mark Stahl ever to take the minutes? There's a lot of question marks there. And the biggest concern I would say I have, if I was going to say I had any, was if we let things play out the way they are now, we'd have to do something to get compliant. But if we let them basically play out the way they are now, are we going to get to the deadline? There's going to, if we have a hole here or a hole there, my concern is I'm not so sure we have the assets to go out and fix holes that we might have. And if you move Patrick Hornqvist, you're creating another hole. Right now, we basically have 2 holes. We have Mason Marchment, and then we have Duclair, but Duclair's coming back. I know multiple people have said put Lefty on the top wing. He's ready. He's going to make the team. I hope so. Okay. It's been a while since the Panthers had one of their first round picks come up and I'm trying to think when the last time we had even a second, I mean, in terms of offense, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm sure somebody in the comments will let me know, but it's been a while. We have not had a lot of guys come up, develop, right? We've had, or Henrik Borgstrom and Owen Tippett and other guys. I'm forgetting the names, so forgive me there. But it's been a while since we've drafted somebody first or second and put them into the offensive lineup and said, yeah, Lundell. Lundell's the last guy, obviously. Okay, so let me back that up a little bit. Lundell. But it's been few and far between, and we need more. We need more because there were a lot of not so great decisions that were made back in that summer of 16 when I started the channel. I mean, we're still paying for that. This is my 7th season of doing Panther videos, and we are just now paying the worst part of the price for that summer of 16. Stuff rolls downhill, guys. Now, all that being said, I said it in my season preview, and I'm going to keep saying it. We're going to start slow. We're going to get better every month. And we're winning the cup. And I know there's going to be plenty of people in the comments. Call me all the names. Go ahead. What more can you call me? That's what I think is going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. That's what I feel is going to happen. That's what my gut tells me is going to happen. I can see it. I can see it laid out. I can see the story. How many times, it's very rare, Colorado last year is an example, but it's not always the team that everybody is so sure is going to win that wins. Sometimes stuff just lines up. Sometimes the right moves are made at the right time and things just line up. And I believe with the goaltending that we have, with the coaching change that we have, and with the players that we've acquired, and with maybe a little bit of tweaking over the course of the season, don't forget the waiver wire. Everybody's worried about trades, myself included. We now have a guy that's assumingly going to be on our top line defensively. We got off the waiver wire. That's Zito. Is he perfect? No. Is it 100% of the time? No. Carter Hagee wasn't tearing things up in Tampa. They didn't have room for him. I trust what Zito has done. And I'm not just blindly saying that. I'm going by his history. I'm looking at the history of the guys he's brought here. I'm looking at the history of the guys this season that he's brought here. I don't know what to tell you. That's my take on it. And call me names. That's fine. Thanks for watching. If you watch this far to hear me say that, you can call me all the names you want. If I'm wrong at the end of the season, I'll be the first one to say it. Got it wrong. Won't be the first time. But I'm not going to be fatalistic. We did not, when you take into consideration the coaching change and the different style that we are likely to play, we did not lose as much as everybody's saying. It's numbers. Yes, we lost this many guys, but we have filled a lot of the roles, I believe. That's it. That's what I got. Thursday camp starts. I'm sure Stu and I are going to do a few more videos, wrap those reviews up. And then next Monday, the 26th, is the first preseason game, doubleheader against Nashville. For those of you who are expecting me to do recaps and whatnot of the prospect tournament, my apologies. It's a standard def feed. I was going blind. I watched the first period, and my recap basically would have been like, the red blur looked good. The guy in the red blur shirt looked good over the guy in the red paint. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything. So I'm ready for the real games. I don't know about you guys. I'm ready for the real games. Don't freak out when this team doesn't start off all that spectacular. I've been saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. They're not going to have a great start. They're not going to have an obscenely bad start either. But all the naysayers are going to be thinking they're slam dunking those first 20 games of the year. Don't worry about it. It's coming together. That's all I can say, guys. Appreciate all the support. I'll see you again in the next one.